As defined by Merriam-Webster's Dictionary, 11th edition, mob is a disorderly crowd, especially one bent on destructive action, a criminal set, gang, mobocracy, the mob as a ruling class. Attitude towards property is communistic, negating property rights. So you can only own property with a allodial title. Mortgage is a dead pledge. That's literally what it means, and it's a lien against property. So let's say this is mine, right? Well, this mine. And we play poker, and you won, and the stakes was $250,000, and I can't pay that. We could put a lien, we could put a mortgage on this, saying if I don't pay you monthly, you get this, and then the debt's satisfied. That's what a mortgage is. It doesn't. It's not ownership. It's just you get to take it now.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? All right. Attitude towards laws that the will of the majority shall regulate, whether it be based on deliberation or governed by passion, prejudice, and impulse, without restraint or regard to consequence. Don't these cops just go on the street, start killing us, and then nothing happens to them?
Yeah.
Okay, thought so. Results in demagogism, licensing, agitation, discontent, and anarchy. As defined by Merriam-Webster's Dictionary, 11th edition, demagogue is a leader who makes use of popular prejudices and false claims and promises in order to gain power. What did the so-called CEO of the United States Corporation Company, wasn't he doing that? So-called Donald Trump, wasn't he doing all of this?
That's exactly how our government
Because that's what it
operates.
is. It's a democracy. Now here's a republic, which is guaranteed within every state. Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution was the supreme law of the land. The American Constitution, which Barack Obama said when he went to Egypt, is derived from Muslim law. Who are those Muslims? You see what I'm saying? Authority is derived through the election by the people of public officials best fitted to represent them. Already the first sentence is something different from a democracy. This is what we think a democracy is, but this is what a republic is. Attitude towards property is respect for laws and individual rights and a sensible economic procedure. This is why in the Constitution it says you can't be deprived without, your property can't be taken without just compensation. But in a democracy with licensing, when we get a license on our automobiles, it converts it into a motor vehicle because it's used for commerce, and then we register it with them so we make it their property. But we're not taught none of that.
And that's why they can seize it.
That's why they do seize it, because it's theirs, right? Attitude towards law is the administration of justice in accord with fixed principles and established evidence with a strict regard to consequence. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever been to court, but I've been to court all the time, and our people don't know any of this, and they waive their rights all the time. And upon one challenge, these courts, so-called courts, can't prove anything. You see what I'm saying? Because they're commercial courts, right? A greater number of citizens and extent of territory may be brought within its compass, meaning we can adopt other states. That's what a republic is. Avoids the dangerous extreme of either tyranny or mobocracy. That's what it says. And it was already defined that a democracy is a mobocracy.
Yeah.
You see? From the War Department. All right. Results in statesmanship, liberty, reason, justice, contentment, and progress. We have gone nowhere with this democracy. We march and pray, nothing happens. It goes nowhere. It's not meant to. It's meant to suppress people. Right? Is the standard form of government throughout the world. You got the Dominican Republic, the Mexican Republic, Brazil's a republic, Haiti's a republic. Now, Secret Treaty of Verona, which was read on the floor of Congress, 1822, it reveals that these Romans, their sole mission is to overthrow all republican forms of government and prevent them from existing in places in which they don't exist yet. All right.
Nice.
And now, there's also one thing I'd like to add. Oh, Franklin Roosevelt, he said in an interview, let me see, is it in here? Yeah, during World War II, he said, the United States is the arsenal of democracy. And then we go, and then, we do, unknowingly, we go out and promote this democracy thing, which is really world conquest.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So part of the problem is we're under occupation. Part of the problem is we're ignorant. The other part is we are fighting in their wars. And I served in the military. And I can tell you, there's a bunch of brown people in the military.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, but it's because we're ignorant. We don't know anything. We only know what our master taught us. You see what I'm saying? So we think, because they put all this pressure on us, we need to pay their so-called rent and pay off these so-called mortgages and pay taxes on our own homeland that they putting pressure on us, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, damn, the military offers, pay, so let me do that. But Federal Reserve Act 1933, they took all the real money out, so they can just print as much as they want.
And that was the whole sell for my graduating class is we're gonna give you a $25,000 bonus. You'll never see it.
But they can print as much as they want. It's all promises. Remember in the Bible, he promised you everything, but he gives you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I got out of the military, I was like, damn, I really got nothing. Like that was 4 years of my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was ready to die because I thought I was fighting for the Republic. I thought I was fighting for the people. I really thought someone bombed the towers. See what I'm saying? I really thought all of this. Like, I'm young. I joined when I was 17. Like I didn't know what the heck was really up. You know what I'm saying? I just knew. I'm an Aries, so I got to fight anyway. I knew I was supposed to fight, and I was like, okay, there's a fight going on. Let me help with that.
Yeah, I have a few friends in the military, and they didn't have any plans after high school, and they thought they were helping their country and their people and making some money, and they thought their life was going to be all set up and great, and
then Rome fails
most of them can't even get civilian jobs
because Drew Ali said these Europeans are going to let you down. That's because they promise everything and then there's nothing.
Because they're not here for us.
They're there for themselves.
Their own people.
Ameliorating their own interests, and that's in Secret Treaty of Verona, and I have it here too. We'll just go into that a little bit. So that was United States War Department's distinction between a democracy and a republic. Clearly, there's a distinction, but we're not taught that. We're taught our democracy, and then we think there's democracy, the Republican Party and Democrat Party, but we don't know that the Republican Party was called the Whig or Moore Party. They wore the wigs to look like the Moors. Because, we had long hair, we had our dreadlocks, so they put the wigs on to honor us. Everything they do is to honor us, but we don't know it because we think we're black.
It's funny, they don't teach any of this in
and they
school.
Don't hide it.
And here I am in high school taking home ec.
Right?
What the fuck?
Right? In English, I was reading about Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
But to even know what words mean, you got to learn etymology. I wasn't taught that.
Nope.
1902, hold on, let me go into that real quick. 1902, Frederick T. Gates, John D. Rockefeller, General Education Board. You can literally Google this. It's on Wikipedia. And it's under their philosophy page. So Google General Education Board. It's on Wikipedia. Go to philosophy page, and this is what their philosophy is. This is their whole mission behind the General Education Board, which is now, state-regulated mandatory schooling. And our dream. So this is Frederick T. Gates, business advisor to John D. Rockefeller in 1913. So this is when Drew Ali was on the scene and he set up the Old Canaanite Temple. And then he said, I pulled the cover off all secret societies. This is when a lot of truth started coming out, right? In our dream, we have limitless resources, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand. The present educational conventions fade from our minds, and unhampered by tradition, we work our own goodwill upon a grateful and responsive rural folk. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or of science. We are not to raise up among them authors, orators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, musicians, nor will we cherish even the humbler ambition to raise up from among them lawyers, doctors, preachers, statesmen, of whom we now have ample supply. That's the mission. That's why all these parents say these schools are failing. No, they're doing their job. They're not supposed to teach you anything because it keeps the European in power. And then when they talk about, we now have ample supply, they're talking about their secret societies where they pay thousands and thousands of dollars and they get these degrees like, oh, this ain't really the United States, right? This is Morocco. These brown people, they ain't really black and Indians, right? They're Moors and we're suppressing them. That's why these so-called black leaders and Indian leaders, that's why they don't say these things. Because then they'll get killed. They want a comfortable job, a comfortable life, and they want to, they're thanking the Pope for what they do to them. Because the Pope runs the shit. So that's why we don't learn shit. Now let's go back into the Secret Treaty of Verona. Secret Treaty of Verona, read on the 4th Congress, 1822. And they talk about what happened in Cadiz, which is when they demanded the end of the Inquisition in that area. But right now, what we're suffering from still today is still the Inquisition. Secret Treaty of Verona. Okay, here we go. So this was Congressional Record, Senate, 64th Congress, First Session, Volume 53, Part 7, page 6781, April 25th, 1916. This is what this quote's from. I wish to put in the record the secret Treaty of Verona of November 22nd, 1822, showing what this ancient conflict, remember Punic Wars between us and Europeans? Ancient conflict is between the rule of the few and the rule of the many. I wish to call attention to this of the Senate to this treaty because it is the threat of this treaty which was the basis of the Monroe Doctrine. It throws a powerful white light upon the conflict between monarchical government and government by the people. The Holy Alliance, under the influence of Metternich and the Premier of Austria in 1822, issued this remarkable secret document. American Diplomatic Code, 1778 to 1884, Volume 2, page 179. Now here's the secret Treaty of Verona. The undersigned, specially authorized to make some additions to the Treaty of the Holy Alliance, after having exchanged their respective credentials, have agreed as follows. Article 1. The high contracting powers, being convinced that the system of representative government is equally as incompatible with the monarchical principles as the
Recording.
Alright, cool. So that was Article 1, Secret Treaty of Verona. So let's go back to Article 2. So they already said, first article, we're gonna suppress all Republican forms of government. Mm-hmm. Article 2. As it cannot be doubted that the liberty of the press is the most powerful means used by the pretended supporters of the rights of nations, to the detriment of those princes. The high contracting parties promise reciprocally to adopt all proper measures to suppress it, not only in their own states, but also in the rest of Europe. And this isn't just, directly expressed towards Europe. So they're using the press. So the CNN, the news that we all know is fake. Mm-hmm. They planned it. It's not just, this stuff is everyone knows, but it can go a little bit deeper. Here's a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. That's it. Everyone knows there's something going on. It's just, when they get to choose, it makes them uncomfortable because I don't know. Yeah. Because, it's kind of like the Matrix. These people don't know they're in the Matrix. They know, but they don't want to know.
It's like opening the door on something you wasn't ready to see.
Yeah. That's why, you have to look for it. Mm-hmm. Ask and you shall receive. You can't just read this. This is the truth. Read it. No one's going to accept that. You know what I mean? But if you can relate it to people's lives, then this is really what's going on. Okay, this is the position we're in. So, in order to fix, if you're sick, you got to find out what the sickness is. That's halfway to finding the solution. Mm-hmm. This is figuring out what the sickness is. You know what I mean? All right. So Article 3. Convinced that the principles of religion contribute most powerfully to keep nations in the state of passive obedience, which they owe to their princes, the high contracting parties declare it to be their intention to sustain in representative states those measures which the clergy may adopt, with the aim of ameliorating their own interests, so intimately connected with the preservation of the authority of the princes, and the contracting powers join in offerings their thanks to the Pope for what he has already done for them, and solicitate his constant cooperation in their views of submitting the nations. So you know how they say there is no separation between church and state? Mm-hmm. And then the Reverend, all these so-called black leaders always taking pictures with the so-called president.
Yeah. How is that?
They're thinking the Pope, because they put them in these positions of rulership over us. Mm-hmm. Thank you. But they say Jesus, and they say Christianity, which is really Constantine. He was a Roman emperor. Mm-hmm. The Pope of Rome. See? They clearly lay it out. They don't hide it. It's just, to us in the streets, they got the Baptist church, Protestant church, we're Muslim, we're Christians, we're Catholics. But all in secret, they all got the fez and they all work for the state.
Yeah.
That's why they get their license to be a reverend from the state. And the Bible doesn't say God's going to give you a certificate saying you can do this. A license is permission, permissive right, which without the license, you wouldn't be able to do it. If you're chosen by God, you don't need no.
Yeah, you don't need any other
From the
higher
state?
authority. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No, it does make sense. It's a contract. They're agreeing. That's why they get the 501c3 tax exempt status. We already established that IRS isn't government. It's really the Inquisition or Revenue Service. So how can a non-government agency grant non-tax? The status alone is what makes you non-tax. So if this right here, this little group is a religious group, since we call it religion and we don't take anyone's money, that status alone makes it non-profit. We don't need to ask someone else. As long as we're honoring, what we're saying we're honoring, then that makes it non-profit. If someone comes in and they see if we're not doing what we're doing, then we have to pay for that. You see what I'm saying? That's how the law works. Innocent until proven guilty. You see? So these people are acting like they say the principles of religion contribute the most to keep people passive. Like they mention God and Allah. I'm a good Christian, and people are like, oh yeah, he's good, he's saved, and then they do all these terrible things.
Yeah.
That's self-explanatory. That's why the Pope comes here. He don't got to pay for nothing. People bow to, people kiss his hand, they bow at his feet. Because he's the God of the earth. Not really, but that's the unum sanctum.
That's the position he's taking.
Yeah, the unum sanctum, when they declare themselves, that's what that is. There's no salvation outside of the church. That's what they're saying. If you think that, that's fine. But the truth is, that's not true.
I'm an atheist, so...
Well, all right, so let's get into God, right? God is a noun. I mean, not a noun. It's a verb. So people say God like in the sky, God like is a noun, like a person, place, or thing. It's not. The word God is derived from Sanskrit huta, which means to invoke, to call upon, and to pour out, right? So when you speak, you're Godding. That's why in the Bible it says first it was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And all things come into existence through Him. Him is the Word. Because when you speak, you invoke. You call things into existence. You see what I'm saying? So it's an action, not a being.
Yeah.
And when people say Allah, they're talking about all law. They're talking about fire, earth, air, water. When I do this, it falls. This won't move until I move it. That's a law. That's Allah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what Allah really is. It's not a noun. It's not really like a noun. And Allah is feminine. It's the feminine. It's nature. Medu Neter, Mother Nature. The Egyptian Medu Neter, Egyptian law. Mother Nature, that's what it is. That's why in the Declaration of Independence it says nature is God and nature's law. What nature invokes. That's really what God is. It's a noun. I mean, it's not a noun. It's a verb. It's what you do.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
This is why religion never sat.
No, it's not religion.
Right with me.
Because it's not religion.
Yeah, because I'm like, you don't need to worship anything to feel like you should be doing good or be a better person, and I don't need to go through anybody to reach a higher.
Because you absolutely don't. You do not.
Yeah.
So that's why they say the principles of religion. So they use certain principles and they use dogma. That's the 325 AD when they created Christianity, which is really the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed, where they worship Constantine and his mother, 325 AD. And they took Yeshua and turned his name into Jesus, which really means justice, which is really a form of Zeus, the Roman god. And they use the mother-son principle, Masonry, Asar and a Set, higher self, lower self, the mother-son, right? Because that's all nature is.
Yeah.
Woman, you're a mother. You got eggs. I don't. I'm just a son. You see what I'm saying? So that's the study of literally everyone on this planet. That's what it is, and their relationship. So they use those principles, and they put a European pale-skinned person, even though in Book of Revelation it says skin like burnished brass, hair like lamb's wool. But since these Europeans claim to be God, because European is a black man's God, so they say, oh no, he looked like this, and then oh yeah, praise the Lord, praise the Lordeth. You know what I'm saying? So even in the book, so these people really don't know what's going on. They just bow down to earth. But anyway, so God, religion means to realign yourself back with the cosmos, with Mother Nature. That's what it is. Dogma is what they promote, and they call it religion. When just like you said, you don't need none of that, because that's dogma. You didn't know that it was dogma until I'm telling you, but you knew.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I knew. I felt it.
See?
Yeah.
But did you know that there was a distinction between dogma and religion?
No.
Well, now you know. So now you can separate the wheat from the chaff in the Bible, you see?
That's how the only religion that ever really spoke to me was Buddhism, because it's Prince Siddhartha trying to reach enlightenment so he could be the better version of himself.
But that's what Christ is. It's a degree of knowledge. His last name wasn't Christ. It was the Krishna, the activation of the pineal gland. When your chakras get all lined up, that Kundalini energy, the serpent, if they try to promote something bad.
Yeah.
All religion is the same thing. The principles are the same. It's just certain rituals are different. And then, these people who are getting paid from the state to suppress us, promote it as something different when they get the truth.
Yeah.
So that they can rule. See this? When they do this?
Yeah.
North, south, east, west.
Yeah.
They're the gods of the earth. They don't think, oh, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, Amen. They don't. When they do that, they don't think that. They North Gate, South Gate, East Gate, West Gate. That's what they're doing. And then they call themselves keepers of the North Gate, North America.
Insane. And they made it to the point where if you speak against or try to give somebody some truth, they're gonna get in a whole religious fight with you. Yeah. Go to war.
Because that's what it's meant to do. They protect their masters, the reverend, the pope, the bishops, the imams, the rabbis, the so-called governors who aren't really governors. They're their masters. They protect them because they take care of them. They make them feel good. Like, oh, this roof has been broken for 3 generations, and we gotta donate to fix this roof, and then give Jesus his half. I thought he was dead. How does he have a bank account? Why does he need your money? If he's dead, why does he need your money? And then the reverend got nice suits, nice shoes. They can travel all over the country, but whenever one of their followers want to travel with them, they have to fund it themselves.
Yeah.
And then they got to reach out to their family and ask to borrow money from their family so that they can go on the streets and spread the word.
And don't forget to donate to the church too.
You see what I'm saying? You see the principles of religion, not real religion. The principles of religion. They made it very clear. They didn't say religion. The principles of religion. The truth of religion. And then we just promote it for our own interests. They said in their own interests.
I can remember being a kid in church and seeing the collection plate going by, and I'm like, you guys don't pay taxes. The city can't turn off your water.
Because they got a 501.
Can't turn off your electricity. And you mean to tell me the same roof? Everybody.
It's always the roof, right?
Sunday,
it's always the roof.
The same roof is not fixed.
It's always the roof too.
Yeah.
They got a
bake sale, and you got all this money coming in, and they only have to
account for what they get on Sunday.
And you got the whole family up there dressed nice, and you guys got a house, and I'm sitting in a rundown apartment, and
the streets are still fucked up. And the streets are still fucked up. Their job is to suppress us, and they stand behind a pulpit. They're pulling you into a pit. They're telling you to your face, and you wanna know why? Because they got people like our family members who can sing really well, play instruments really well. That gets the emotions. That gets people's spirits up. Like, oh yeah, we're saved. And then they, here's all my money, and then they go home and then they have nothing. Eating noodles.
Waiting on God to come save you.
And God only helps those who help themselves. Why? Because God is an action. It's what you do. So we're funding, collectively our people are funding our own enslavement. Because these reverends have a 501c3, these so-called Indian charter schools have a 501c3, and their sole job is to keep us docile. So we get raised. Not raised, but raised.
That's why I always believed in affirmations, because you tell yourself you're going to do something every day.
And you do it.
And it happens. If I
because you got it. Huta. You called it into existence. That's why
and it works for me. It's worked for me my whole life, and I have friends that are so depressed and I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna have a bad day. Stop saying that.
Because man is mind. The universe is mental. And then the word weird, you've been called weird?
Yeah.
I've been called weird. You know what weird means? Let's do this.
Okay.
Let's go to etimononline.com. Let's see what it says. Because I've been called weird too. I've also been called.
I've always been called weird.
Right now let's look. And then you're a Libra and I'm an Aries, so it's kind of like watch this. All right.
Well, so you tell yourself affirmations every day? Yes, because I'm letting myself know what I'm going to be.
ETYMONLINE.com. It's a good etymology website if people don't have dictionaries.
Etymon. What's it again?
Etymon Online. So ETYMONLINE, right? So weird. Let's look up what weird means. And this is gonna watch. Weird. Adjective. Having power to control fate.
Wow.
So when you say things, aren't you controlling your fate?
Yes. Yes.
From Old English, WYRD, fate, chance, fortune, destiny. The fates, literally, that which comes. So when you invoke, when you God, to call upon, to invoke, to pour out, see?
I'll take it. I'll be weird.
Because that's what it is. Because etymology is the science of how words are transliterated from each language and what they really mean. It's the denotative, what it actually means. So in our society, they promote connotative linguistics, which is what a word implies. Like, oh, I feel at home here. This isn't a home. You know what I'm saying? Or like Michael Jackson, I'm bad. He's using it as a good when bad is a negative. See what I'm saying? So in the Bible, it talks about the Tower of Babel, where all the people are united speaking one language. They can't be destroyed. So then God comes down and they separate the language so that they can't even communicate. So when I say I'm not black, Waka Flocka says he's not black, there's a battle. Black means pale.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? We're not, this isn't pale. You see? And then our people get offensive because they don't have any real identity, so they cling on to the word black, which means pale or shining. This isn't even, there's nothing black in nature. My hair is dark, 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 dark brown. Put it to the light, you're gonna see brown.
Yeah.
Even black cats aren't black.
Same for me.
They're brown.
Yep.
Nothing in nature is black.
Scientifically can't have black eyes.
Scientifically, black means death. Now, you know, copper tone people, you ever go to their funeral, their skin is pale. They're dead. Go to a beach, a European takes off their pants, shining ass, the sun's hitting their legs is shining because they're pale. They're the real black people. That's why they say Black Lives Matter. Remember, words mean something, they vibrate. Pale lives matter, that's what it is. That's why you barely see, that's why Europeans aren't in a bad situation.
Spending all our energy into giving them power, and we're guiding them into power.
And who funds Black Lives Matter? Who funds that? Europeans. And then we get mad when they say, white power. We're white men. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, it says Moors. And it says Europeans more or less intermixed. So Europeans aren't white unless they're mixed with Moors. And then it will even go down further. It says it does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, or Indo-European races.
Yeah, does not pertain to Caucasian.
And it tells you in the beginning, Naturalization Act of 1870. That's when the KKK went on their mission, their crusades, because that's their crusadesmen and their inquisitions. They went on the crusades all throughout America to promote this new white, call themselves white men, because they're not white. You see, like it's a game, and then people get emotional, like, oh no, because they don't know what the definition is, because they don't know etymology, and etymology is one of the ways they figure out what legal phrases and definitions means, according to context, and etymology and semantics, and the truth. So it's kind of like the Bible's telling us, codified. The reverends know how to read it, but they won't teach it, and the bishops and the rabbis, and hold on, there's also Indians who call themselves Sagamores. It comes from the word sage, which means wise, and Moor, which a wise Moor. And then they deny their Moorish bloodline. They call themselves Indians because they don't know etymology. They don't know how to break down words. They go off emotions and my people were slaughtered, and so I got to get a 501c3 from the state.
Yeah.
Like what? To be on my own homeland so they can administer like it's. What are you doing? It's because they want this, which isn't real money that the Europeans can print at any time.
Yeah.
It's like.
Because you want somebody to give you a piece of paper
you want to benefit
give you
now.
the right that you should already have.
Hold on. Now,
that is your birthright.
Right? Birthright. You already have it. Declaration on Independence Declaration, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. And we already know the word man means masculine and feminine was the first because we all come through her, right? We know that. That's not a lie. That's the truth, right? All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator, which is our mom, with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, pursuit, and happiness. That to secure these rights, so to secure them, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That's a trust. Their job is to secure rights. So when you ask them for rights, you don't know what their job is. Their job is not to give any because they can't give any.
Yeah.
Their job is to protect your rights. So we don't know government.
We don't.
1902, General Education Board, to keep us dumb. So out of high school, we're supposed to know what government can and can't do. We're supposed to keep them in check.
And when you say, I'm going to homeschool my child, all hell breaks loose.
You have the right. Declaration on the Rights of a Child. It says the parents have the initial right in educating their children.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one can encroach on the family.
Mm-hmm.
The family is everything.
And they try to turn that into a privilege, telling you need to
because
get
that's
this
a democracy.
license
That's a
and that.
democracy.